Kaito, you look like you've been staring at that same page for 20 minutes. Is the book that interesting, or are you just gone?
I'm gone, Maria. I'm reading this article and I understand every single word. I know the grammar, I know the vocabulary, but if you asked me to explain it to you right now, I'd probably just say, it's a good story. My mind feels like a library where all the lights have gone out. I know the books are there, but I can't find anything.
Welcome to the Intermediate Plateau, Kaito. It's the most crowded place in the world.
Crowded? It feels lonely. I feel like I stopped growing months ago. I'm not a beginner anymore. I don't make baby mistakes, but I don't feel fluent either. I'm just stuck in the middle.
That's exactly what the plateau is. It's a giant, invisible wall. When you're a beginner, progress is fast. Every day you learn a new color or a new verb, and it feels like climbing a ladder. But then you reach the middle, and suddenly the ladder is gone. You're standing on a flat, gray plain. You're walking and walking, but the view never changes.
Is this it? Is this as good as my English will ever get?
Not at all. But the tools that got you to the wall won't help you get over it. You can't just study harder anymore. You have to study differently. Today, we're going to talk about why your brain has stopped expanding and how to break the engine so you can build a better one.
Break the engine? That sounds dangerous.
Sometimes you have to break a bad habit to make room for a great one. We're going to look at the psychology of why we get stuck, and I'm going to tell you a story about a man who knew perfect English but couldn't buy a loaf of bread without shaking.
I think I know that man. I think he might be me.
Let's find out. Let's head into Chapter 1. I want to tell you about Leo. Leo was an architect from a small town who moved to a big, bustling city for his dream job. Now, Leo was a star student. For years, he spent 3 hours every night with his head in a book. He could recite every irregular verb from abide to write. He was a master of the past perfect, the conditional, and the passive voice.
He sounds like the perfect learner. Why was he a silent architect then?
Because Leo was building a paper library instead of a live bridge. In his mind, English was a series of math equations. He thought that if he just collected enough rules, fluency would magically appear. One day, he was in a high-stakes meeting with his boss and a major client. The client looked at Leo's design and asked, "Why did you choose this specific material for the foundation?"
That should be easy for an architect, right?
In his native language, yes, but in English, Leo froze. He started a mental search. He thought, okay, I need to use because. Should I use the present perfect? Let me check the preposition. Is it material for or material of? While Leo was checking his mental grammar book, 30 seconds of silence passed. The client looked uncomfortable. His boss stepped in and answered for him. Leo didn't say a single word for the rest of the meeting.
That's painful. He knew the answer, but his perfectionism locked the door.
Exactly. He was knowledge-rich, but action-poor. He had 1,000 bricks, but didn't know how to lay them quickly. He was waiting for a perfect sentence that doesn't exist in real life. But then, a week later, something happened. A pipe burst on the construction site. Water was everywhere. Leo ran to the site, saw the foreman, and screamed, "Pipe break! Water out! Stop valve now!"
That's not architect English. That's survival English.
It was broken English, Kaito. But do you know what happened? The foreman understood. The water stopped. The building was saved. In that moment of panic, Leo's grammar filter broke. He didn't have time to be perfect, so he was forced to be fluent. He realized that communication is about the impact, not the polish.
So the plateau is like Leo's office, too organized, too quiet, and too afraid of a mess.
Precisely. If you want to leave the plateau, you have to stop being an architect of sentences and start being a construction worker. You have to get your hands dirty. You have to be willing to say, pipe break, if it means the conversation keeps moving.
I think I've been spending too much time in the office, Maria. How do I start breaking the pipe on purpose?
That starts with understanding the difference between your passive library and your active toolbox. Let's look at that in Chapter 2. Kaito, why do you think Leo was able to save the building but couldn't answer a simple question in a meeting?
Pressure? In the meeting, he had time to think, so he overanalyzed. At the construction site, he didn't have a choice. He had to survive.
Exactly. He stopped paying the precision tax. Every time you try to be 100% correct with a complex grammar rule while speaking, you are paying a tax with your time. At the plateau, learners are precision broke. They spend so much mental energy on being right that they have nothing left for being fast.
I feel that. I'm always calculating my sentences. It feels like I'm running a heavy program on an old laptop. Everything just lags.
That lag is what keeps you on the plateau. To break it, you have to accept the fluency debt. This means you borrow speed by giving up a little bit of correctness. You have to be okay with using the wrong preposition if it means your sentence flows. You have to be okay with I go instead of I should have gone if it keeps the rhythm of the conversation alive.
But Maria, if I keep making those small mistakes, won't they become permanent? Won't I just become a person who speaks bad English forever?
No, because your passive knowledge, the library in your head, is already strong. You already know what is correct, you just can't retrieve it fast enough. By focusing on speed, you are training the delivery trucks in your brain. Once the trucks are fast, then we can start putting the high-quality furniture, the advanced grammar, back inside them. But right now, your trucks are stuck in a garage because they're afraid of a little scratch on the paint.
So I need to focus on the delivery first and the decoration later.
Precisely. The plateau isn't a lack of knowledge, it's a retrieval problem. You don't need more bricks, words, you need a faster crane to pick them up. If you keep choosing precision over fluency, you will stay in that office like Leo, watching the world move on without you.
Okay, I'm ready to stop paying the precision tax, but I still spend a lot of time studying. I watch movies, I listen to podcasts. Why isn't that helping my crane get faster?
Because you're falling for the input flood fallacy, and that's what we're tackling in Chapter 3. Kaito, tell me the truth. How many English learning videos did you watch this week? And be honest.
Maybe 10? Plus 3 movies in English. And I listened to a podcast while I was at the gym. I'm putting in the hours, Maria. I'm flooding my brain with English.
That's the problem. You are flooding it, but you aren't filtering it. This is the input flood fallacy. It's the belief that if you just stand in the rain long enough, you'll eventually become the rain. But human brains don't work like that. At the intermediate level, passive listening is just background noise with a fancy name.
But everyone says immersion is the key. If I listen to English for 4 hours a day, shouldn't I be getting better?
Not if your brain is on cruise control. Think about it. Have you ever driven a car for 30 minutes and realized you don't remember the last 10 miles? Your brain was on autopilot. When you watch a movie with subtitles or listen to a podcast while lifting weights, your brain is doing the same thing. It's hearing the English, but it isn't wrestling with it.
Wrestling with it? That sounds exhausting.
It should be. Growth only happens in the struggle zone. Passive input is edutainment. It's 90% entertainment and 10% education. To break the plateau, you need to turn the flood into a fountain. You need output-oriented input.
Okay, how do I wrestle with a movie? Do I fight the TV?
Not quite. You use the shadowing or summarizing technique. Instead of watching 60 minutes of a show, watch 5 minutes. Then pause it. Try to repeat exactly what the character said, the rhythm, the emotion, the speed. Or even better, explain the plot of those 5 minutes out loud to your kitchen wall. If you can't explain what happened in English, you didn't learn anything, you just watched something.
So 10 minutes of active wrestling is better than 2 hours of passive flooding?
Every single time. You need to stop being a consumer and start being a producer. Because the more you consume without producing, the more constipated your English becomes. You have all this information inside, but it has no way out.
I definitely feel English-constipated. I have the words, but they're stuck.
Then let's open the gates. But we aren't going to use all 50,000 words. We're going to start with just one. Let's talk about the 1% expression rule in Chapter 4. Kaito, when you feel stuck, it's usually because you've become safe. Use the same words every single day. You say good, bad, happy, and sad. You are living in a small circle of comfort, and the walls of that circle are your plateau.
I know. I want to use big, beautiful words, but when I start talking, my brain just gives me the easy ones. It's like my vocabulary is a giant mansion, but I only live in the kitchen.
That's because you're trying to move into the whole mansion at once. You can't. You need the 1% expression rule. Instead of trying to learn a list of 50 words today, I want you to pick one. Just one power word or a specific phrase that you don't usually use.
One word? That doesn't feel like enough to become fluent.
It's not about knowing the word, it's about owning it. This is the difference between recognition and domination. Most learners have a massive recognition vocabulary. They see a word and think, oh, I know that, but they never use it. To break the plateau, you must force that word into your active toolbox.
So, how do I dominate a word?
You use it in a stress test. Let's say your word for today is fundamental. Instead of saying important, you must force yourself to use fundamental 3 times today. Tell your barista the coffee is fundamental to your morning. Tell your friend that sleep is fundamental to your health. It will feel awkward at first, maybe even a little silly, but you are stretching the muscles of your brain.
I see. By forcing it into a real conversation, I'm telling my brain that this word isn't just a guest in the library, it's a worker in the construction site.
Exactly. If you add just 1% of new expression every day, in 3 months, you will be a completely different speaker. You don't need a revolution, Kaito. You need an evolution. Stop trying to climb the whole wall and just focus on placing one new brick.
1 brick a day. I can do that. I'm going to start with fundamental right now. It is fundamental that we finish this podcast with a strong summary.
Perfect usage. Let's wrap this up and give our listeners their final audit for the week. Kaito, look at your notebook. We started today feeling stuck, but we're leaving with a map. Let's make sure everyone has the right markers for that map before we step back out into the world.
I've got them right here. 5 words that changed how I see the wall.
Number 1, plateau. It's that long, flat period where you feel like you aren't improving. Remember, the plateau isn't a dead end. It's just a place where you have to change your strategy.
And number 2, precision. This is being exact and accurate. We learned that too much precision can actually be a tax that slows us down. Sometimes you have to trade precision for speed.
Exactly, which leads to number 3, fluidity, or fluency. This is the ability to speak smoothly and easily without constant lag or stopping. Like Leo at the construction site. He wasn't perfect, but he had fluidity.
Number 4 is a big one, fundamental. It means something that is the most important or basic part of a system.
Like we said, it is fundamental to move words from your recognition list to your active list.
And the last one, my favorite, dominate. To have power or control over something. Don't just know a word, use it, stretch it, and force it into your life until you dominate it.
Plateau, precision, fluidity, fundamental, and dominate. I feel like my construction site is finally open for business.
I'm glad to hear it. Now, for everyone listening, your challenge this week is the Leo moment. Go to the comments and tell us about a time you were silent because you were afraid of making a mistake. Then write one sentence using your 1% word for today.
I'll be reading them. I want to see which words you guys are choosing to dominate.
Until next time, keep your hands dirty and your English moving. Good night, Kaito.
Goodbye.